In 2001, Peter Falconio stepped out of a Volkswagen Kombi van on the Stuart Highway in the Northern Territory of Australia, and then simply ceased to exist. His blood was on the road. A man was convicted of his murder. And yet, with over 3,000 square miles of outback searched in the years that followed, Peter Falconio has never been found. And that is the problem. Peter was 28 years old. He was from Huddersfield, England, a builder by trade, traveling Australia with his girlfriend Joanne Lees as part of a gap-year trip around the world. By all accounts, it was the happiest stretch of his life. On the night of July 14, 2001, they were driving north on the Stuart Highway, one of the most remote roads on Earth, cutting through red dirt and scrub for hundreds of miles without a petrol station, without a phone, without another person. It was just after 10 o'clock at night. The temperature had dropped. The headlights pushed a narrow wedge of light into the dark. They were somewhere near Barrow Creek. A truck pulled up behind them and flashed its lights. The driver, a man traveling alone, told Peter there were sparks coming from the Kombi's exhaust. It looked dangerous, he said. Peter climbed out to check. He walked around to the rear of the van. Joanne stayed in the passenger seat. She heard a loud bang. She assumed it was the exhaust backfiring. Then the man appeared at her window. He grabbed her. He bound her wrists behind her back with a cable tie looped through a makeshift hand restraint, an unusual knot, the kind that takes preparation. He pushed her toward his truck. She resisted. He forced her into the cab. Then he walked back toward the Kombi. In those seconds, Joanne Lees opened the truck door and ran. She ran into the scrub, into the complete darkness of the Australian desert. She hid under a bush. She did not move for 5 hours. She could hear the man searching. She heard his dog padding through the scrub. She did not make a sound. When Joanne was found by a passing truck driver and brought into Barrow Creek, police were dispatched immediately. They found the Kombi on the highway, engine still running, headlights still on. They found Peter's blood on the road's surface, a specific spot, not a trail, not a drag mark. They found the depression in the scrub where Joanne had lain hidden. They did not find Peter Falconio. They searched the highway corridor by vehicle, then called in the police air wing. They searched on foot. They brought in tracker dogs. They swept a radius that expanded over days and then weeks, covering some of the harshest terrain on the continent. Nothing, no body, no clothing, no bone fragment, not a single trace of Peter Falconio beyond that circle of blood on the asphalt. A man was there. A man bled. And then the desert has nothing further to say. Police identified a suspect. DNA from Joanne's cable tie restraints, from a drop of blood in the truck cab, and from material recovered at the scene matched a man named Bradley Murdoch, a drug courier who made regular runs through the outback along that exact route. The theory was straightforward. Murdoch shot Peter at the roadside, placed him in the truck, drove out into the desert, and buried him somewhere in 3,000 square miles of featureless red earth. In 2005, Bradley Murdoch was convicted of Peter Falconio's murder. The DNA was unambiguous. The jury returned a guilty verdict after 9 hours. Case closed. Except Murdoch has never said where Peter is. He maintains to this day that he did not kill Peter Falconio. He appealed the conviction. He refused every opportunity to lead investigators to a burial location. That silence is its own problem, but it is not the biggest one. Remember the blood on the road. A man bled there in a fixed position and was gone within minutes. Police have returned to that corridor repeatedly. Ground-penetrating radar was deployed across identified grid areas. Cadaver detection dogs were brought in on separate occasions. A cold case review re-examined every registered tip. Investigators know the truck's general route from cell tower data and witness sightings. They know the corridor Murdoch drove that night. The outback is vast, but a shallow desert grave in iron-rich soil holds trace evidence for decades. Every known site was cleared. Here is the detail that no one has been able to resolve. A conviction exists. The forensic case against Murdoch is considered one of the strongest circumstantial and DNA cases in Australian criminal history, and yet the victim at the center of it remains missing. The weapon was never recovered. The method of disposal was never established. The most extensive search in Northern Territory police history found the man responsible and could not find the man he killed. Bradley Murdoch is serving a life sentence in Casuarina Prison in Western Australia with a non-parole period of 28 years. Peter Falconio's family in Huddersfield have never been able to hold a funeral. The coroner formally declared him dead. His body has not been returned. Somewhere in 3,000 square miles of Australian desert, the only person who knows the answer is not talking. What does it take to make a man disappear so completely that a convicted killer and a continent full of searchers cannot find a single trace of him?